Wawancara eksklusif Fakta Israel bersama Rawan Osman, Zionis Perempuan Dunia Arab.
Shalom, saya Monique Rakers dari YouTube Fakta Israel. Saat ini saya di Yerusalem bersama dengan seseorang yang sangat terkenal, Rawan Osman. Is this the correct pronunciation?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you. Saudara, saya akan mewawancarai sesuatu yang menurut saya sangat penting buat Anda ketahui karena tidak banyak seorang perempuan Arab yang berani bersuara untuk Israel. Thank you very much for your time.
Happily. I'm really happy to be with you, especially after you told me that a few people know me already in Indonesia.
Yes, you are famous in
Thanks to you.
Indonesia. And then I like to know why you want to stand with Israel. This is not common, you know.
Of course, especially not in the Arab world. I will tell you that the story is very, very simple. I grew up in Lebanon, thinking that the Israelis are horrible, hating the Jews. So this is why I say today, I am a recovered anti-Semite.
Yeah.
And it was easy to hate Jews and the Israelis because there are no Jews left in the Arab world. More than 800,000 Jews were uprooted from many Arab countries, leaving their assets, properties behind, but also the cemeteries, the graves of their ancestors. Today, they moved homes. They moved elsewhere. They've become citizens in the new countries they went to, and most of them came to Israel. They rebuilt from scratch. Learning about this system, understanding that we hate them, although we've never spoken to them. We hate Israel, although by law we are forbidden from speaking to Israelis, even if we meet them abroad. I'll say this again. A Lebanese, or an Iraqi, or an Algerian, or a Kuwait, meet an Israeli in a pub in London or in Sydney, by law, they're not allowed to speak to them. This is all meant to dehumanize and to demonize the Jews / Israelis / Zionists. The three terms are used interchangeably in the Arab world. It is not true that we make a distinction between Jewish and Zionist. And the proof is very, very simple. Can a Jew wearing a kippah walk safely and freely on the streets of Algeria, or Egypt, or Iran, or Kuwait? Of course not. But now that I said this, I have to say that there are a few Arab countries where the Jews can be safe, can be even safer than they are in Paris and London in this day and age. That is Morocco, Bahrain, but above all, mostly in the UAE, in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi. The Jews can wear a kippah and can be guaranteed their safety. After learning this history, I realized that the Jews did come from Eastern Europe, as I learned at school. Some of them came back from Eastern Europe, but after being in exile for 2,000 years, the Jews were pushed left and right, to the east, to the west, to the north, to the south, and no matter where they went, they were not left alone. And they're not confrontational. They don't want action. But at a certain point, after 2,000 years of patience, some Zionists decide enough is enough.
Yeah.
If we are truly Jew, if we are Jewish, we believe in Torah, in the Word of God, God promised us this part of the land.
Yes, the promised land.
It is ours. We have to reclaim it. This is why they came back, not because they originally came from Eastern Europe. Learning all this made me admire this project, the persistence, the perseverance, the loyalty, and the devotion to their projects. This is why I became a supporter of those I used to hate.
Wow, amazing. And I'm wondering, how you develop your knowledge about Judaism, about the Israel as a nation with the whole land we know as Promised Land.
So for me, there were three ways. At the beginning, before I spoke to Israelis, before I ever visited Israel, the very basic thing everyone can do is to read about Israel, about Judaism.
Yes.
So there are books, and nowadays in the age of social media, there is plenty of material, whether you want it in the short form on social media or in a longer form. And you can watch documentaries and inform yourself and find answers for every question. In my case, I also wanted to deepen my knowledge, so I went to university to study Jewish studies. And there I learned not only about the Tanakh, about the Torah, not only about the Jewish religion, about Judaism from a religious perspective, to be more accurate, but I also learned about Jewish philosophy, Jewish history, and the Talmud and the Torah, not necessarily only from a religious perspective. I learned Hebrew, modern Hebrew.
Wow.
So that deepened my knowledge. Also learning about the Middle East conflict teaches us a lot about dynamics. What created the situation that we are confronted with today. And the last phase, and I think this is the most intensive, is something you're experiencing as well today.
Of course.
Visiting Israel.
Yeah.
You can read in theory and watch videos and seeing it for yourself.
Yes.
Experiencing reality here makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Especially that you don't necessarily learn it from a rabbi or a Jew. It's interesting to hear the perspective of Christians and Druze and Muslims, those who are proud of their Israeli identity, and those who have an identity crisis. It's interesting to know, why does a Muslim not identify as an Israeli or have an Israeli passport? So you would have your own story after collecting all these impressions, and I think this is the deepest you can go.
Now the UN want to recognize the Palestinian state, Judea and Samaria. But we know from the Bible, it's the land, the promised land cannot divide it. What do you think?
After living in the Arab world for a long time, I moved to Europe, and I've been living there. And there, especially after I became a public figure, a vocal activist for Israel, when Europeans want to embarrass me or push me in a corner, they ask me, what about the settlements in the West Bank? And I avoided the question because it's volatile, it's very complicated, and the matter is indeed complex. But the international community decided that it was illegal for Israel to be present in those areas that would be the future state of Israel, of Palestine. Excuse me. So last year, somebody invited me to go to the so-called West Bank. And I agreed, although I wanted to avoid this particular topic, because it is a huge headache just visiting Israel or defending the Israelis without getting into that land.
The 11 in the room.
So I accepted the visit because I had a compelling voice in my gut saying, go, now it's time. I went there and I saw landmarks, archaeological sites. And I sat down and I was watching the Jordan Valley for hours. And I thought, if a Jew thinks they can live in Tel Aviv because of their past, of their history, or of their story, they definitely have the right to live in Judea and Samaria. There is more evidence for this historical connection between the Jews and the land in Judea and Samaria than there is anywhere else in Israel. with the exception of Jerusalem. And then I decided that I have to be a little brave and also tell Palestinians that this part is Jewish.
Yes.
When I say this, I'm not asking anybody to leave, to stay. Same
But
way
to
I
acknowledge,
consider
yes.
to acknowledge that fact, that reality. In the same way, I talk about Jerusalem as the undivided eternal capital of Israel.
Wow.
The Jews do not forbid anybody from praying at the temple.
Yeah.
It's house of prayer for all nations.
Yes.
You're welcome, but nobody can take over and exclude Jews. This will never, ever happen, should never, ever. With that in mind, we can advance, understanding that Israel must become whole in order for it to be safe, in order for it to be true. When I say this, it does not come from a bad place in my heart against Palestinians.
Yeah.
I invite everybody to take a step back, to zoom out, and to understand what do we mean by Palestine. And it's very important, it is crucial to understand that when we say Palestine, we are using a word that is not Arabic. The name the Romans gave to the region. That was adopted by the British when they took over the region. After the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, they called it Palestine. And the British made it Palestine consisted of today's Israel, the Gaza Strip, the so-called West, and the East. I'm going to repeat in terms everybody understands. The British mandate of Palestine consisted of today's Israel, Gaza Strip, Judea and Samaria, and Jordan. Jordan. This land was divided, and Jordan was founded on 78% of the British mandate of Palestine. The remaining 22% were supposed to be Jewish, and the Arabs refused. The Jews accepted repeatedly to divide the remaining 22%, and the Arabs refused after October 7th. Maybe it is time to zoom out, to understand what we understand by Palestine, and to tell the Arabs it is time to confront reality, to assume responsibility, accept the consequences for octave, for terrorism, yet again on October 7th, and to understand that you cannot coexist in peace. It is time to divorce until you are willing to be good neighbor. And that means Israel has to become not damaging the Palestinians, but sparing the lives of both people.
Wow. You are so brave. And is there anything you want to say for Indonesian? Because
Saudara nantikan bagian kedua wawancara eksklusif Fakta Israel bersama dengan Rawan Osman, aktivis pro-Israel Dunia Arab. Hanya di YouTube Fakta Israel. Kami tidak menayangkan di media sosial lainnya. Anda bisa mendukung pelayanan dari YouTube Fakta Israel dengan membeli merchandise yang kami sediakan. Terima kasih atas dukungan dan doa Anda. Salam damai dari Fakta Israel, Am Yisrael Hai, bangsa Israel hidup.